Some people don't break you loudly. They drain you quietly. They smile, they help, they stay close. And yet, every time they leave, something inside you feels smaller. It's not the bills, not the work, not the past. It's the people you keep giving your peace to without noticing it's disappearing. But here's the truth no one likes to say. Not all who drain you mean harm. Most are just lost, running on habits of need, not awareness. And maybe once you were too. This isn't about blame. It's about awakening, about seeing who's shaping your calm before your calm is gone. Because your clarity doesn't vanish. It gets negotiated away, one small yes at a time. Today, you'll see the 11 kinds of people who quietly drain your spirit and how to rise above them without becoming cold, bitter, or closed. Because protecting your peace isn't rejection, it's evolution. And evolution begins the moment you stop apologizing for your clarity. And the first one is the easiest to miss, because they sound kind. Let's begin. 1. The constant complainer. How negativity infects your mind. You know this person, they don't shout, they don't fight, yet somehow every word feels like a slow leak in your spirit. Work is unfair, the weather is bad, life is heavy, and somehow none of it is ever their fault. At first, it sounds harmless. After all, we all vent sometimes, but the constant complainer doesn't vent to release tension. They vent to recycle misery. They don't want answers. They want sympathy. And the longer you sit there nodding, the more their lens becomes yours. Suddenly your job feels smaller, your calm feels thinner, and the peace you built starts to crack. Negativity spreads like secondhand smoke. You don't notice the damage right away, but your lungs of optimism weaken over time. Yet here's the truth few will admit. Not every complainer is toxic. Some are just unconscious, stuck replaying the same pain because they never learned how to process it. You can have compassion without becoming their container. You can listen without absorbing. Because empathy without boundaries isn't kindness, it's self-erasure. Kai once told me, you don't have to drink every cup someone offers you. That's when I realized I had been sipping other people's complaints like bitter tea, wondering why my peace always tasted tired. Your mind is your fortress. Every complaint you allow is a crack in the wall, and cracks, if left unguarded, always spread. So here's how you rise without closing your heart. Expose the cycle. When you hear the same story for the third time, ask softly, what do you plan to do about it? That single question separates those seeking healing from those seeking pity. Guard your energy. Just because someone opens their mouth doesn't mean you must open your mind. Let words pass without taking root. Shift depth, not always distance. If you can't walk away, lighten the weight of the exchange. Be kind, but don't carry. And here's a small practice for you. The next time you or someone else begins to complain, pause, replace "this is unfair" with "this is here." What can I do? That one switch moves your focus from helplessness to power. Now ask yourself, who leaves you drained after every conversation? Who makes you feel guilty for having peace when they don't? And the hardest question, have you let their voice become your own? Your calm is sacred. Protect it like treasure. Be kind, but stay clear, because you were never meant to absorb everyone's storm. 2. The excuse maker. Why fear always wears a mask. You've met them too. They always have a reason, not enough time, not the right moment, not the right mood. On the surface, it sounds rational, but underneath every reason lives the same quiet guest, fear. Excuses are just fear wearing a polite suit. They protect the comfort. They keep you safe from the sting of trying and failing. But that safety has a cost. It steals your potential in silence. And if you stay too close to excuse makers long enough, you'll start repeating their lines without even noticing. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe I should slow down. Maybe it's not my time yet. That's how fear spreads, through borrowed logic. You don't just inherit their limits, you start defending them. But here's the shift. Not every excuse maker is lazy. Some are simply afraid of failure, of judgment, of change. And maybe in your past, you've worn that mask too. So instead of judging them, understand them, and then outgrow them. Because compassion doesn't mean waiting for someone to move. It means moving first, so they see it's possible. I once had a friend who spent 2 years saying, "When the timing is right, I'll start my business." The timing never came, because excuses never run out. So if you want to help someone like that, don't argue. Don't try to convince them. Just walk your path so clearly that your discipline becomes the mirror where they finally see their own hesitation. Your power is not in debate, it's in demonstration. Now here's the reflection. Audit your words. Do you say, "I'll try," or "I will"? Do you say, "When I have time," or "I'll make time"? Language is a mirror. Clean it, and your life follows. Guard your circle. If every conversation makes you justify your dreams, you're talking to people who already quit theirs. So ask yourself, who in your life always has a reason not to move forward? Have their doubts become part of your voice? And the hardest question, are you building your life by your values or by someone else's fear? Courage isn't loud. It's quiet, consistent, and invisible to those who stop trying. Excuses feel safe, but they are just chains painted gold. Break them gently, not in anger, but in clarity. Because you weren't born to wait for perfect timing. You were born to create it. 3. The gossip dealer. When other people's noise becomes your cage. They always know who failed, who cheated, who stumbled, who broke. Their words sound harmless, smooth, charming, wrapped in laughter, but underneath every story hides insecurity dressed up as entertainment. At first, gossip feels light. It even feels like connection. But it's not connection. It's confusion in disguise. Gossip is mental junk food. Tastes sweet, feeds nothing. The more you consume, the hungrier you get. And stay close to gossip long enough, you begin to forget what silence feels like. Your focus drifts from building your life to dissecting lives that don't belong to you. You trade creation for commentary, growth for noise, but here's the truth no one likes to admit. People who gossip to you will one day gossip about you, not because they hate you, but because gossip is an addiction that doesn't care who gets fed next. And yet, not everyone who gossips is cruel. Some are simply lonely, trying to bond through stories. They confuse information with intimacy. They just don't know another way to connect. That's where your awareness becomes your compassion. You don't need to attack them. You just need to stop joining the performance. Elena, the woman I love, once said something that never left me. If they gossip to you, they'll gossip about you. That one line freed me from shallow circles, because gossip dies where silence begins. So here's your reflection. Who in your life grows louder when others fall? Whose conversations revolve around names, never around ideas? And the hardest one, have you ever let gossip color your view of someone you never truly knew? Your mind is not a marketplace for other people's noise. It's a sanctuary for clarity, peace, and truth. Protect it like sacred ground, because in a world addicted to noise, your silence will always be the rarest sound. And sometimes silence isn't enough, because envy speaks with a smile. 4. The envious shadow, the friend who can't clap. They don't argue, they don't insult. They simply go quiet when you win. Eyes that look away when you share good news. a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. The silence of envy is often louder than words. Envy doesn't attack your weakness. It targets your strength. Your progress reminds them of the battles they avoided, the dreams they buried, the courage they postponed. And instead of rising with you, they hope quietly that you'll shrink back to where they left you. But envy isn't always evil. It's often pain unhealed, a mirror reflecting where someone once gave up on themselves. And sometimes they don't even know it. The danger is not their envy, it's your reaction to it. You start dimming your light to make them comfortable, calling it humility when it's really self-erasure. You hide your joy, soften your success, and tell yourself, I don't want it to make them feel bad. But your light was never meant to be dimmed. Real friends don't fear your growth, they're fueled by it. Those who guilt you for evolving aren't supporters. They're shadows afraid of illumination. After I rebuilt my life, one old friend stopped returning my calls. Not because I wronged him, but because my rise reminded him of the climb he never finished. And that's when I learned, you can't keep shrinking yourself just to stay close to someone afraid of rising. Detach from their weight. You're not responsible for soothing another person's insecurity. Protect your joy by protecting your wins. Not everyone deserves front row access to your triumphs. Sometimes the safest celebration is silence, until you find those who clap with both hands, not folded arms. And here's your practice. The next time someone goes quiet when you share good news, don't shrink. Celebrate anyway. Even if it's just you raising a glass to your reflection, let your soul hear the sound of your own applause. So reflect. Who disappears when you succeed? Who makes you second-guess your joy? And the hardest truth, have you been dimming your own light to make someone else stay? Envy is not your burden. It's their mirror. Keep shining until their shadow no longer touches your peace. 5. The hot-tempered, chaos disguised as strength. You can feel them before they speak, the edge in their walk, the storm behind their eyes. One wrong word, one small delay, and suddenly the air changes. At first, their rage looks like power, but anger isn't power, it's possession. I'll show you how to be unmoved. It owns the one who can't control it, because anyone who can trigger you at will controls you. The cost of staying close to the hot-tempered is heavy. You start to live on eggshells, measuring every word, bracing for the next eruption. You call it patience, but it's really survival. And slowly, their chaos becomes your rhythm. Your steadiness thins, your tone hardens. Their fire seeps into your bloodstream until you mistake amarity for awareness. I know that climate well. I grew up around fire, not evil, just unhealed storms in a man who didn't know peace. My father lived in constant fire. Silence at home wasn't peace. It was the pause before the next explosion. But you were not born to live in someone else's storm. The loudest one in the room isn't the strongest. It's the one most controlled by their own noise. True strength is not fire, it's focus. It's the stillness that refuses to dance for chaos. So when fury rises around you, don't mirror it. Observe. Breathe. Step back. Anger feeds on reaction. Take away its oxygen, and it burns itself out. And remember, distance is not cruelty. If someone's fire keeps burning your peace, step back. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're protection. Here's your practice. The next time someone raises their voice, lower yours. Let your calm be the mirror that exposes their storm. Because silence, when anchored in awareness, isn't weakness, it's mastery. So reflect. Who in your life cannot go a single day without losing control? Has their rage started shaping how you respond to others? And the deeper truth, have you confused silence with fear? when it was really the strength to stay unmoved? The hot-tempered destroy their peace long before they touch yours. Don't join their fire. Be the calm that reminds the room what strength really sounds like. But chaos doesn't always shout. Sometimes it performs. If clarity helps you breathe, stay. There's a practice later you'll use today. 6. The drama magnet. Living in a storm that isn't yours. With them, nothing is small. A text delay becomes betrayal. A disagreement turns into disaster. Every emotion, a performance. At first, you feel compassion. You listen. You comfort. You try to calm the storm, but the storm never ends because it's not a mistake. It's a mechanism. They don't crave peace, they crave reaction. Drama isn't their problem, it's their power source. And if you stay too close, you'll start confusing chaos for connection. Their urgency becomes your anxiety. Their noise becomes your normal. I once knew someone who told me, "Without chaos, I feel invisible." That's when I understood. Some storms don't need your rescue, they need your absence. But before you judge them, understand this. People addicted to drama aren't always manipulative. Many are just scared of silence. Because in silence, they'd have to face themselves. And that's a storm they've never survived. So instead of trying to fix them, practice stillness. You are not their therapist. You are not their savior. Let their words fall without building them a stage. And here's the truth. Space is not abandonment. It's oxygen. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is not join the fire. So reflect. Who in your life turns peace into conflict just to feel alive? Who leaves you feeling guilty for wanting calm? And the hardest question, have you mistaken emotional chaos for emotional depth? You can't control the weather, but you can stop standing in the rain. Choose clarity over chaos. Choose peace over performance. Your calm doesn't make you cold, it makes you free. 7. The naysayer, doubt wrapped as good advice. They never shout. They never insult. They simply lean in with quiet concern. Are you sure that's realistic? What if it fails? Maybe you should lower your expectations. It sounds like care. It even feels like wisdom, but listen closely. What they call realism is often just fear in disguise. Naysayers don't destroy dreams by arguing. They do it by planting hesitation and calling it logic. Many visions haven't died from failure. They've died from secondhand doubt. Someone else's limitation, whispered enough times, becomes your inner voice. And here's the truth. They don't mean to harm you. They just never learn to dream past their own ceiling. They confuse comfort for safety and safety for success. But if you listen too long, you'll start editing your destiny to fit their fear. You'll stop before you begin and call it being smart. I once had a client tell me, "Don't aim too high, you might disappoint yourself." I smiled and thought, I'd rather fall from climbing than drown from standing still. The answer isn't to fight them, it's to filter them. Before you take advice, ask, do they walk the path they're warning me about? If not, their words are projection, not protection. Strength isn't ignoring feedback, it's decoding it. Separate fear from fact, doubt from data, concern from control. So reflect. Who in your life always finds a reason why it won't work? Whose voice sounds cautious, but carries fear? And the hardest question, have you built your life to avoid disappointment or to discover possibility? The naysayer doesn't need to stop you. They just need to slow you down. But you weren't born to move cautiously through someone else's fear. You were born to rise with clarity, even if you rise alone. 8. The toxic positivist. When glitter covers the wound, they arrive with bright smiles, quick slogans, endless sunshine. Just stay positive. Everything happens for a reason. Words polished smooth by repetition, yet empty when you need them most. It's not wisdom, it's a polite way of saying your pain makes me uncomfortable. At first, it feels uplifting, but soon you realize it's not encouragement, it's avoidance wrapped in glitter. The toxic positivist doesn't face pain, they repaint it. They call sadness low vibration. They label grief a mindset problem. And in their world, honesty is forbidden because everything must sparkle, even when it's breaking. After my divorce, someone told me, think positive, you'll find someone better. It sounded normal, almost kind, but what I needed wasn't optimism. It was oxygen, silence, space, permission to feel. The danger is subtle. Around them, you begin to fake light. You bury heaviness under smiles that ache. You start feeling guilty for being human. And the pain you hide doesn't vanish. It ferments. Anxiety, resentment, disconnection. Here's the truth. Real strength isn't pretending storms don't exist. It's standing still enough to feel the rain without drowning. Stoicism was never about denial, it's about clarity. Pain is real, but so is your ability to endure it. So when someone says, stay positive, try replying softly, I don't need positive right now, I need real. I need space to feel this, then I'll rise. That one sentence protects your right to authenticity, because healing begins where pretending ends. So reflect. Who in your life makes you feel unsafe to be honest? Who teaches you to smile instead of speak? And the hardest truth, have you been bypassing your own healing by covering it with optimism? Toxic positivity doesn't heal, it hides. And anything you hide will one day control you. But when you face life with open eyes, steady, unashamed, you reclaim your power. Not blind positivity, but fierce clarity. That is the light that never flickers. 9. The professional victim, turning pain into an identity. They have been hurt, betrayed, overlooked, just like all of us. But instead of healing, they turn their wounds into a flag, something to wave every time life asks for accountability. Every story circles back to the same heartbreak. Every setback becomes proof that life is unfair. At first, you empathize, you listen, you comfort, you try to help. Some people aren't ready to heal yet, and that's okay. But if we stay too long in our pain, it quietly turns into identity. But soon you realize they don't want healing. They want validation for staying broken. We've all been there, trapped in the same story because it's the only one we know. Victimhood becomes a home they never intend to leave. A home with leaking ceilings and locked doors, and somehow they still invite you to move in. I met a man once who told the same story every night at the shelter. He wasn't searching for food. He was searching for an audience to rehearse his pain. And here's what I learned. Pain is sacred. It teaches. It reshapes. It deserves space. Pain demands to be felt, but it doesn't demand to be worshipped. The danger of staying too close is subtle. You start carrying their pain like luggage that isn't yours. You dim your joy so they won't feel small. You begin to believe that maybe hope is naive, maybe ambition is selfish, maybe peace is impossible. But pain was never meant to be permanent. It's a teacher, not a tenant. It refines you, but it's not meant to define you. You can love someone deeply without letting them anchor your growth. Empathy is not a contract to drown together. So reflect, who in your life wears pain like identity? Have you been so busy rescuing that you forgot to rise? And the deeper question, have you mistaken endurance for progress? Victimhood feels safe, but it silently poisons the soul. You were never meant to replay the wound. You were meant to rebuild from it. Every time you choose responsibility over resentment, the story loses its hold. And that's how you rise, not by forgetting the pain, but by outgrowing its gravity. 10. The subtle manipulator. Smiles that cost you your voice. They don't shout, they don't slam doors, they don't have to. They twist words until you question your own memory. They smile while making you feel guilty for saying no. They withdraw warmth the moment you draw a line. They turn your empathy into their favorite tool. Manipulation isn't about power, it's about confusion. Their goal isn't domination, it's disorientation. They win not by force, but by fog. You start apologizing when you've done nothing wrong, explaining choices that need no defense, shrinking your truth so theirs can stand taller. At first, it feels harmless. A joke that stings, a favor that somehow becomes a debt. But piece by piece, you realize you've been negotiating away your peace. I once had a business partner who never raised his voice. He just sighed, a quiet, disappointed sigh, and I'd give him more time than I could afford. One day I looked at my calendar and realized it belonged to him, not me. That's the danger. Some people don't steal your strength. They slowly convince you to hand it over. One small concession at a time. But clarity is the antidote. Watch patterns, not promises. Trust behavior, not apologies. If someone's presence leaves you heavy, that's data. Listen to it. So reflect. Who makes you feel guilty for protecting your time? Who rewards obedience but punishes independence? And the harder question, have you been editing yourself to keep someone else comfortable? You don't need to fight for power. You only need to stop giving it away. The moment you choose honesty over approval, their grip dissolves and your voice returns stronger than ever. 11. The overindulgent. Comfort that slowly kills discipline. They laugh loud. They mean well. They tell you to relax. Well, life's short. Don't overthink it. Come on, enjoy yourself. You can start tomorrow. And maybe you should, but when tomorrow never comes, comfort becomes a cage. The overindulgent don't wreck you in one night. They erode you gently, one skipped habit, one delayed plan, one tiny permission at a time, until discipline feels harsh and mediocrity feels normal. They make laziness sound like freedom and distraction sound like balance. They sell comfort as self-care when it's really self-abandonment with better lighting. I had a friend who always said, "Let's celebrate today. Tomorrow will handle itself." A week later, tomorrow hadn't handled anything, but the bills already had. Pleasure without principle isn't freedom. It's dependency disguised as joy. Every time you say yes to overindulgence, you say no to the life you could have built. But this isn't about guilt, it's about awakening. Joy isn't the enemy, it's what you feel after you've earned your peace. So don't argue with those who tempt you to drift. Out-discipline them. Let your consistency speak louder than their comfort. Structure isn't a prison, it's proof that you respect your potential. Guard your environment. If every voice around you celebrates ease, you'll start mistaking effort for overreaction. Better to walk alone with direction than sit surrounded by people going nowhere. So reflect. Who makes you feel guilty for wanting more? Who flatters your weakness instead of fueling your will? And the hardest truth, have you been confusing relief with freedom? The overindulgent mean no harm, but their influence is fatal to greatness. You were not born to coast, you were born to climb. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, you choose a freedom no pleasure can replace. You've seen them now, not enemies, but the quiet thieves of your peace, the complainers and excuse makers, the gossipers and the envious, the angry, the dramatic, the fearful, the falsely cheerful, the victims, the manipulators, and the indulgent voices that make mediocrity feel safe. They don't always shout. They don't always harm intentionally. Some may even love you, but love that disrespects your peace isn't love. It's control. Lucidity isn't cold. It's mercy. When you step away from what weakens you, you don't lose people. You find yourself. And when you find yourself, you stand tall without apology. Protecting your peace isn't building a wall. It's planting a garden. A garden where only those who water you may enter, and where weeds are not allowed to stay. If this truth speaks to you, share it, because every time one person protects their peace, the world grows quieter and wiser. So ask yourself right now, who must you stop giving access to if you truly want to rise? If this truth found you at the right time, you were meant to hear it. Protect your peace, guard your path, and watch how everything finally begins to bloom.